Hi, welcome to 𝐸 Academy. Let's start our lesson with Genius Import Formula. It's important to dive into the figures at this point and assess your product's overall landed cost. Now that you've identified a good supplier to work with, you've negotiated order conditions, and you're ready to place your purchase, congratulations. So, how does this procedure actually work in practice? Trade assurance. The order will be created using Alibaba. Either you or the supplier can initiate the order. After you've agreed on the final terms, price, and quantity, you'll be given the supplier's bank account information, and you'll be able to make a bank transfer payment. If you want to pay with a credit card, you can do so directly on Alibaba's website. Just a heads up that trade assurance protection is only as good as your order information. Be as specific as possible when describing the product, its features, size, materials used, packing, and everything else. Take your time and attempt to cover everything in as much detail as possible. This will demonstrate to the manufacturer that you demand nothing less than flawless quality from your goods. It will also assist you if you need to contact the trade assurance team in the event of a disagreement. They can come up with all kinds of reasoning for why the manufacturer is correct, like if you haven't explained the product thoroughly enough. Even if it costs more, it is recommended that you pay with a credit card. This manner, you'll have an extra layer of defense. And if everything else fails, you can file a chargeback lawsuit with your bank to recover your funds. Furthermore, unlike when dealing with a supplier directly, you will not be able to split the payment in half. This means the provider is under a little less quality pressure. You can place your order without going through Alibaba if you're using PayPal or the supplier won't accept trade assurance. Once you've agreed on all of the terms, price, and quantity, the supplier will send you a pro forma invoice, which is usually in the form of a PDF document. They also prefer to use simple Excel files on occasion, but primarily for quote purposes. The final pro forma invoice should include the supplier's signature and stamp. This invoice will include your full name, address, and contact information, as well as the names of your suppliers, their addresses, and contact information, the names, quantities, and prices of the products, shipping terms, payment terms, PayPal email address or bank account information, the date of order, and the supplier's signature and stamp. At this point, you should double-check that all of the facts on the inspection report are correct. Even if you're using PayPal, double-check your bank account information. It must match what's on the report. If there is a problem, request an explanation from the supplier. What are the types of payment terms? One payment is made when the order is placed, and the second is made when the products are ready to be shipped. This gives you the opportunity to inspect your goods before making the second payment. As a result, you'll only pay the second part once you're certain everything is in order. This certainly increases the supplier's responsibility, as they are aware that they must perform well in order to obtain the second payment. The manner you split your payment is determined by the terms of your agreement with the supplier. However, for new orders and clients, the standard payment structure is 50-50 or 70-30, which means you pay 70% now and 30% when the goods are completed. Even if this is your first order, aim for 50-50 terms, which are half upfront and half when the goods are ready. Once you've established a relationship with the manufacturer and placed your 5th, 10th, and 20th order, you can always renegotiate these terms. Some Amazon sellers have 30-day terms with their suppliers, which means they only pay for items 30 days after the batch is completed and do not pay anything down. Of course, this is fantastic, but such conditions can only be obtained over time if you have a strong relationship with your provider. Start with 50-50 terms to see if they're good enough and fair to both parties before placing the order. When the goods are ready, notify your supplier that a pre-shipment inspection will be performed. As a result, they are aware that their work will be evaluated. It will also be beneficial to talk about defective items. Make an agreement with the supplier that any defective products discovered during the inspection will be replaced or repaired. Furthermore, if there are serious problems, the supplier should offer to pay for a second examination. When you've decided on all of the specifications and are ready to place your order, all you have to do is pay via PayPal or bank transfer and wait for your goods to be created. Manual manufacturing takes 20 to 30 days on average, though suppliers may have stock ready to ship right away in some cases. You will be notified when your order is complete. You can also request frequent updates, as well as production images, and so on. What is pre-shipment inspection? It works in the same way as a supplier inspection does, in that you engage a business to go to a supplier and inspect the product quality, quantity, packing, labeling, and so on. The factory inspection, in layman's terms, is the last scam filter, but the pre-shipment inspection assures that your order is perfect. How do you set up a pre-shipment inspection? Number 1. Notify your supplier that you will be inspecting your order prior to shipment and to plan the best day to do so. Number 2. On Alibaba's inspection service page, look for an inspector and place your order. It is advised that you keep your life simple and only use the same rich fourth firm. Number 3. Meet with your chosen inspector and discuss what needs to be checked and how the products should be tested. Number 4. Finally, you'll receive the inspection report within a few days, which will include all of the information you need, such as specifics on any flaws, minor and significant critical packing, product numbers, and numerous product photographs. That's the only thing there is to it. As you can see, it's a very simple and uncomplicated procedure. When dealing with your inspector, the most important thing to remember is to be as clear as possible. What should you do after receiving an inspection report? 1. You can request that any damaged products be repaired or replaced by your supplier. 2. You may simply ask for the defective items to be removed from your order and the overall invoice amount to be lowered. Which option to choose is highly dependent on the circumstances, such as the time period required to replace the items, the urgency with which you require them, the percentage of the overall order that was defective, and so on. It's also a good idea to do a pre-shipment check on the first 3 orders you place with a new supplier. If all 3 orders are flawless, you can discontinue pre-shipment inspections because the supplier has demonstrated that their products are defect-free. Another piece of advice is to perform a full inspection, which includes verifying each and every product, at least for the first order if you deal with very intricate products, electronics, or items with many pieces. You can't afford to start with flaws because they'll quickly show up as negative reviews on Amazon. Most simple products require a random check of 10 to 20% of the total order to determine whether there are any serious issues with the order. When your products have passed inspection and are ready to ship, the supplier will deliver them to the port, where your freight forwarder will take over. How can you avoid delays in receiving your order? There is one more thing you must do to minimize delays in getting your order. If you do not already have one, apply for an EORI number. What is EORI number? EORI stands for Economic, Operator, Registration, and Identification Number. Without going into too much detail, this figure is simply used for statistical purposes to track all items imported and exported into and out of the EU. An EORI number, which will be used to clear your products through customs, can take up to a week to obtain. As a result, you want to apply for it as soon as your order ships. As a result, there will be no delays, which will cost you money. The majority of shipping companies will store your items for free for 3 days or less. After that, however, you will be responsible for daily storage costs. You do not want to request an EORI number until your order has been shipped from China. Just as you did on the EORI application, you'll need to provide your shipping information as well as the shipping company's information. So, once the products have been shipped, simply request an EORI. That is, if you don't already have it. If you're VAT registered, you almost certainly already have an EORI number that's the same as your VAT number. However, if you are not VAT registered and this is your first time importing something, you must apply for an EORI number online. You must fill out a special form, which is available on the HMRC website. After registering, your EORI number will be emailed to you within 3 to 4 business days. You can provide your EORI number to the courier company or freight forwarder when they ask for it for customs clearance. Yes, we are discussing customs. When your order arrives in the United Kingdom, it will be subject to customs clearance, which means a declaration will be prepared with estimates on how much VAT and import duty you will be required to pay to clear your shipment. Don't worry, you won't have to do this on your own. If you use a courier to ship your package, they will handle everything for you and simply provide you with an invoice that includes the amount of VAT and import duty you must pay. Some couriers require payment in advance prior to delivery, while others will send you an invoice after the fact. In either case, you simply pay it. If a freight forwarder, such as Woodland Group, is hired, this operation will be handled by them. And, like couriers, will issue you an invoice for the VAT and import charge, which must be paid before your products can be released. So, aside from paying the VAT and the import charge, you won't have to do anything in either case. Simply make sure you have enough money in your bank account when your order arrives in the United Kingdom. What are the most common ways to import items from China? Number 1. Courier or express delivery. This is the quickest and most expensive method of importing Chinese goods. Well-known courier firms like as DHL, TNT, UPS, FedEx, and others send items to the Western world, where they reach in 3 to 6 days, depending on the company and service level used. This is the most common method of courier delivery. We're also accustomed to it when making online purchases. Except that this time, the items are being shipped from China to the United Kingdom, or wherever you are. Courier shipping is the most expensive option, and it will only work if your items are very small and light. In general, sending your order via courier is not cost-effective if it weighs more than 30 to 50 kilograms. It is, however, also dependent on the item size, as your order may only weigh 20 kilograms but be quite expensive to ship via courier due to its proportions. When you choose courier delivery for your order, you simply ask your supplier to arrange it for you and add the shipping costs to your invoice. Rather than asking your supplier to find the cheapest courier and use it, they will frequently advise you to open your own courier account and use it. The reason for this is that Chinese suppliers may be able to obtain significantly better shipments pricing than we can, particularly if they send packages with a specific courier firm on a regular basis. Simply ask the supplier to take care of this for you. Clearly, using courier shipping is extremely convenient. They are extremely fast and require very little effort on your part. Simply sit back and wait for your order to be delivered to your front door. The reality, however, is that courier shipments are extremely expensive. Most products are simply too expensive to distribute via courier because shipping costs are prohibitively high, and you will not be able to maintain high margins. When using courier services, the cost per kilogram can range between £5 and £10. Only the smallest and lightest products are suitable for courier shipping. To keep things simple in the beginning, you may choose courier even if you are aware that you are overpaying for shipping costs. But only to get the first order in as soon as possible so you can start selling, with the intention of switching to a less expensive delivery option for subsequent purchases. Number 2. Sea freight. Most Amazon sellers and businesses will use sea freight when importing items from China. Items are loaded into containers and transported across the ocean for about a month until they arrive at your local port for unloading. It may appear frightening and difficult, but it is not. We can now use sea freight as easily as we can land freight with the help of freight forwarders. The most significant advantage of using sea freight is the lower cost. Obviously, with larger orders, you can get a pallet delivered from China to the UK for less than £200, which is a bargain when compared to courier delivery. If you can order a full container load or at least a half container load, the price drops dramatically, but you are not required to do so. Less than container load shipments from multiple customers are enthusiastically accepted by freight companies, who then aggregate them into containers. This means that you can deliver 2 or 3 pallets, as well as 1 or half a pallet. To make sea freight cost effective, you should send at least 1 full pallet, which is approximately 2 cubic meters of product, and the more pallets you ship at once, the cheaper it becomes. Number 3. Air freight. This shipping method is less well known since it is only appropriate in very narrow circumstances where the things being imported are small and valuable. Because items are still carried by air from China, air freight is essentially the same as courier. The difference is that they are business-to-business shipments. Couriers, on the other hand, are almost always at sea. Express transportation is more expensive than air freight. If the order is sufficiently large, starting at 100 kilograms, you should look into getting an air freight price. However, the things you import must be valuable, as air freight, while less expensive than courier shipment, is still rather costly in comparison to sea freight. To summarize, courier is costly and only appropriate for little, light orders. You'll employ sea freight or air freight for everything else. How do you organize the shipping process? Most suppliers will offer to arrange sea or freight shipping on your behalf and charge you for it. When it comes to sea freight, the prices are quite low, such as $50 to $100 for a pallet shipped via sea freight to your nearest port. But there's one catch: Chinese suppliers will only cover the actual shipping costs to your nearest port or airport. What it does not cover are any additional fees you may incur when your package arrives. Port fees, dock fees, unloading fees, processing fees, storage fees, customs clearance fees, local delivery expenses, and so on are examples of such fees. Sometimes strange made-up fees are added to your final payment that you have no idea what they are for or what they mean. In essence, such shipping services take advantage of you and charge you a slew of extra fees when your product arrives in the UK, which you will be forced to pay. The cost of port storage can be quite high, and each day that you do not clear the items adds to your total cost. As a result, what began as a low-cost method of transporting your pallet from China for around $50 ends up costing you hundreds of pounds more. Therefore, do not trust the supplier with your sea or air freight shipping. There will be a slew of hidden fees that you will not be aware of until your items arrive in the UK. You can simplify the entire process by choosing freight forwarders. These are companies that can manage the complete shipping procedure for you, including air or sea freight shipping from China, customs clearance, and delivery to your door or even directly to Amazon's warehouse. The best part is that if you choose reputable freight forwarders, you'll know exactly how much everything will cost before you place your order. As a result, there will be no unpleasant surprises or additional charges when your items arrive in the UK. So, how does everything fit together? Essentially, you notify your supplier that you will be in charge of all shipping arrangements. Remember that in China, you must always work with FOB prices. As a result, shipping to the nearest port is included in your price. Then, contact your freight forwarder and request a door-to-door quote based on your consignment's dimensions, size, and weight, as well as the name of the port to which you can deliver. A door-to-door quote includes all fees except VAT and import duty. As a result, there will be no additional shipping costs to pay when the items arrive in the UK. In most cases, you'll ask for a sea freight quote. If you believe that air freight is a better option for your items, you can request both quotes and then choose between the two based on pricing. If you are satisfied with the freight forwarder's quote and want to proceed to the actual ordering procedure with the supplier, all you need to do now is keep in touch with the freight forwarder and notify them when the order is ready for pickup. They'll also walk you through the rest of the process, such as obtaining the necessary paperwork and other details. Basically, it's a really simple procedure with nothing to be afraid of. Once you begin using sea freight, you will quickly realize how simple and cost-effective it is. Yes, shipping times are lengthy. However, if you manage your inventory well, those 30 days aren't that bad, especially given the low cost of the service. If you're just getting started with a new product, you might want to consider splitting your initial order if it makes financial sense. For example, you could receive 50 or 100 items by courier and the rest of your order by sea freight. This way, you can get a piece of your order much faster and start photographing products, creating listings, and selling while you wait for the rest of the goods, which you expect to arrive in a month or two. If the courier service is reasonably priced, this is a great strategy to use when launching a new product. That pretty much sums up how Chinese shipping works. Sea freight is almost always the best option for obtaining the lowest shipping cost per unit. You don't have to be afraid of sea freight when you work with freight forwarders. There's nothing to worry about because the procedure is fairly simple. Like a regular courier service, the shipping company will handle all of the paperwork and deliver the products to your door. It's also a good idea to insure all of your shipments from China for the entire amount of your order. So don't try to cut corners here. You want your package to be completely covered in case of damage, loss, or theft. Finally, there are times when the delivery cost per item is simply too high, regardless of which shipping method you use. This usually occurs with packages weighing 30 to 100 kilograms, which are too large for courier service yet too light for sea freight. Of course, the size of the item has a role. However, if your sea freight delivery cost per item is unreasonably high, it suggests that your order quantity is simply too small. Sea freight, on the other hand, is designed to transport complete containers. Even while less than container load services are becoming increasingly popular, sending a few tiny items by sea freight is still prohibitively expensive. Ideally, you should send at least one full pallet or 2 cubic meters of goods via sea freight. A half pallet or 1 cubic meter can also suffice. However, it is not ideal and will not be cost-effective. When you send 2 to 3 pallets at the same time, you've reached the sweet spot of cost optimization and can significantly reduce your shipping costs per item. So, if your order is too large for courier but too small for sea freight, you have a few choices. If your budget allows, increase the order size, but accept higher shipping costs on the first order. Knowing that you can increase the order size in the future to reduce shipping costs. Negotiate a lower minimum order quantity with your supplier and consider shipping the first order via courier. Look for a different product entirely. None of these options are ideal, but you must work with what you have. And if you can't afford reasonable shipping costs, it might be best to look for another product. Let's talk about EAN and FNSKU. What is EAN? The European article number is abbreviated as EAN. It's also the method used to identify every product manufactured and sold in Europe's retail and online stores. Nearly every packaged item in your local supermarket has an EAN number. It will take the form of a unique barcode that store and warehouse systems can scan to instantly identify the product. The EAN code is made up of 13 single digits. The barcode, on the other hand, is a simple graphical representation of that number. There is no magical information contained in these barcodes. By scanning any search EAN barcode, you will only get a 13-digit number. You've probably noticed that cashiers occasionally need to manually enter a code into their system. If the barcode is unable to be scanned. To add the item to your order, they simply read the 13-digit code and manually type it into the tail. The global non-profit organization GS1 is in charge of issuing and maintaining EAN codes. In addition, anyone can join GS1 to receive their own EAN codes. Each country will have a local GS1 organization, office, and website where you can join and obtain your EAN codes. Go to www.gs1uk.org to join the organization in the United Kingdom. If you're in another country, however, you can simply go to your local GS1 website. Despite the fact that GS1 is a non-profit organization, there are fees associated with obtaining these EAN codes because they require physical offices and IT infrastructure to operate. And, of course, it all costs money. So you'll have to pay an annual membership fee as long as you want to keep your numbers. Why are these EAN codes required? The goal is to establish Amazon product listings. We'll need to develop new Amazon product listings because we'll be selling private label products under our own brand. Each product must have an identity, such as an EAN code, according to Amazon. So, if you don't have a valid EAN code, you won't be able to establish an Amazon product listing. Aside from using EAN codes to establish Amazon listings, we can also utilize them on product packaging. What is FNSKU? FNSKU stands for Fulfillment Network Stock Keeping Unit and is a one-of-a-kind number used exclusively by Amazon. When sellers make a shipment plan to transport products to Amazon's warehouse, Amazon will provide them a unique number and barcode. It's similar to EAN, however it's issued by Amazon rather than GS1. Another distinction is that, even for identical items, each seller's FNSKU number will be unique, allowing Amazon to keep track of inventory from diverse sellers individually. What is the significance of FNSKU codes, and how do you use them? The reason for this is that in order for Amazon to properly receive your inventory, you'll need to barcode each individual item or its packaging. It makes no difference whether the barcode is printed directly on the product or container, or if it is attached as a label, as long as it is present. If you don't want to put FNSKU labels on your own products, Amazon offers a service that will do it for you. It is not, however, recommended because it will increase your costs and cause a delay in receiving your product. Given that you'll be ordering products from Chinese manufacturers, it's only natural to expect these labels to be applied correctly. If you're using custom printed packaging, make sure the barcode graphic is also printed on it. As a result, you won't need to worry about labels. Depending on the product and package type, either solution will work. Amazon doesn't seem to mind as long as the barcode is visible and correctly scans. If you go with the custom option, you should ask your supplier if they can add labels or embed the barcode into the package. To obtain the actual barcode label, you must first create an Amazon listing, select the appropriate category, enter the end code, set the price, and fill in the basic placeholder information required by Amazon. Amazon's stickerless inventory option allows you to use EAN labels instead of FNSKU labels for inventory purposes. In most cases, however, you don't want to complicate your life any further. You can ignore this concept and simply use FNSKU labels on your product packaging or as labels to avoid unnecessary confusion. Congratulations! You've just completed this topic. See you in the next lesson.